Let's look today at the equation for a circle. Well, first off, what is a circle? A circle is defined as a set of points that are equidistant from a fixed point. So let's start off with a fixed point, and I think we should probably give that some coordinates, so let's call that fixed point A, B. Now we want the set of points that are now equidistant from this point. What does that look like? Well, lo and behold, it looks like a circle, and the distance that we refer to as the radius is the thing that is the same all the way around our circle. So let's call this R, and here I have a generic point on my circumference, and this generic point I'm going to give the coordinates x, y. Well, this distance R is always the same, so how do I find that distance R? Well, the distance along the bottom would be x minus a, the distance at the side would be y minus b, and now that I have that I would just perform Pythagoras. So x minus a squared plus y minus b squared will be equal to the radius squared. And this here is my generic formula for a circle. So how do we use that? Well, let's write it out again. X minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals the radius squared. Well, here I've got a circle with centre minus 2, 3, so I would have x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to the radius of the circle, which is 4, not forgetting here the squared. So I can tidy that up slightly and write that down as x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared, and either leave that as 4 squared or I can write it as 16. But here we have now an equation for a circle with centre negative 2, 3 and radius 4. In the next example I've got points A and B which are going to create a diameter, and from this I want to be able to find the equation for the circle. Well, the centre for my circle is going to be the midpoint of A and B. So let's start off by finding that midpoint. So that's going to be the average of the x-coordinates, which is minus 2 plus 6 over 2, and the average of the y-coordinates, which is 2 plus 8 over 2. And so that centre is going to work out to be at 4 over 2 is 2, 10 over 2 is 5, 2, 5. The next thing that I need to know is what the radius of the circle is going to be. Well, if I know where the centre is here at 2, 5, and I know a point on the circumference, let's pick this point B, which is at 6, 8, then I can easily work out what the radius is going to be. The radius will be here. The change in y, 8 subtract 5, is going to be 3. The change in x, 6 subtract 2, is going to be 4. So the radius is going to be the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, and this is something that we should have seen many times in our lives. 9 plus 16 is 25, so the radius here is going to be 5. So I've got a circle with centre 2, 5 and radius 5, so how do I write that down? That's x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to 5 squared. Again, I can write that down as 5 squared, I could write it down as 25. Either way, what I'm dealing with here is the equation of a circle. In the final example, we're going to go from a Cartesian equation and we're going to convert it back to this format that we know and love. And we're going to do that by completing the square, which was indicated at the start of this video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to regroup the terms of this equation. So x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 8y plus the 17 is equal to 0. Now I've regrouped it to make it easier to complete the square. So I take x, half the coefficient of x, which is going to be 3, and then subtract the correction, which is going to be 9, y plus half the coefficient of y, which is 4, subtract the correction, which is going to be 16, plus 17 is equal to 0. So that's going to be x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared. Now 9 minus 16 is negative 25, plus 17 is going to be negative 8. And then my final rearrangement is going to be saying that that's x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to 8. Now I can read off my information. The centre of my circle is going to be at the point 3, negative 4. Okay, remembering here that our general equation is that x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared has the centre a, b. So here, my value for A I can read off immediately. It's just going to be 3. My value for B, I need to make that negative so that when I do minus -4, I get the positive out at the end. Be careful with the radius. This is where a lot of people make mistakes. A lot of people then just state that the radius here is going to be 8, but we know that we've got x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to the radius squared. So this 8 refers to the radius squared. So to get the radius out, I need to square root that value. And obviously, when I'm dealing with the square root of 8, I should remember my surds. So I write this down as 2 lots of the square root of 2. And that's pretty much everything there is to know about the equation for a circle. We can really easily see that this equation up here gives us a circle because I've got an x squared term, a y squared term, and I haven't got any product terms in x and y, so I haven't got an x multiplied by a y. If I've got an x multiplied by a y, I'm definitely not dealing with a circle. But in this case, we don't have that, so I know that this will give me a circle.